My son is a tween and his father has never met him. We'd gone to court when my son was like one-ish, and he at that point said he wasn't ready to be a father and ultimately wanted nothing to do with our child. So I was awarded 100% parental rights and visitation at my own discretion and child support. Well, last year he reached out completely randomly on Facebook and said he was ready to meet our kid, and said that he turned his life around and regretted not being here every day. He spoke to our son at this point, but in the end, my son decided he wasn't ready to meet him yet. Not a big deal. His father was angry and tried blaming me at first, but later dropped it, and we hadn't heard from him since. Well, he just reached out again about a week and a half ago, and at this point, my son was ready to meet him. We made a plan and everything was great. He was super attentive and checking in every single day. He appeared to be involved and everything was truly great. However, he called me last night, and I don't know if he was drinking or what was up with the sudden attitude, but he was being nasty and telling me, "I will take that stupid boy from you if you do crap that I don't agree with." He was accusing me of spending the child support on myself despite me giving him no reason to think this. I told him to stop speaking to me like that, and he said it a few more times before I finally snapped and said, "You know what? Never mind. I'm not bringing my son to meet you when you're telling me you're taking him from me, so you're not meeting him," and I hung up. I didn't realize my son heard the whole thing. He was standing on the other side of the door and I was unaware. He's obviously on my side, but definitely a bit bummed, and just kept saying he can't believe his dad dared to treat me like that, and kept saying, "Mom, I want you to know that I would always choose you even if he brought you to court." And it was incredibly sad. I reached out to a friend today because this is seriously mentally destroying me, because I know how deep down my son still wants to meet him. And my friend basically told me that I was an idiot and I had no right to keep my kid from him. Went on to say, "So what if he takes him? The cops would find him and charge him, and then your son would know what he's dealing with, but until then stop depriving your son." So, am I the idiot? What is wrong with your friend? This man is clearly unstable and just made a credible threat. The cops would find him and charge him. Like, has your friend met any police? It could take days or weeks to find him. What if he was hiding? What if he left town? Your friend is saying it's okay to gamble your son's safety, and if he gets abducted, it'll be fine. Who cares about the harm that'll inflict on him? Not the idiot times infinity. Your friend needs to stop thinking of human lives like objects. Yeah, that is not a friend, and I dropped them like a hot potato. She seriously said, "So what if he takes away your kid?" This lady is unhinged. You did the right thing. Subjecting your child to this man would not be good, especially with his current mindset. My father's best friend lost his daughter that way. The mother secretly took her away and disappeared into Canada. He tried desperately to find her, hired private investigators, the works. He finally got back in touch with his daughter when she was an adult. She reached out to him. "OP, this man called your son that stupid boy. He does not sound like a good father or safe for your son to be around. And your son seems to agree that they shouldn't meet, even if he's sad about it. That's how some things go, but he's made his decision. He seems like a smart kid. If your ex wants to spend time with your son, let him take you back to court. He gave up custody. He has no rights to your son. I hate people who assume the child support is spent on the parent instead of raising the child. I heard this from my ex, his mom, and the 4 wives he had. It's not cheap to care for a child, and some parents don't even get awarded enough to pay for food for a month. OP, and the best of luck with this situation. I hope it just ends here and doesn't escalate, but if things go further, you may want to consider a restraining order." A few days ago, my kids found a little bunny and brought it home, and they were begging us to keep it. But we can't keep a wild rabbit and already have several pets. The bunny was big enough to fend for itself, and I tried to nicely tell my kids that it needed to go back home to its family. They were sad but agreed to take it back. However, I was busy with work and couldn't go with them, so my wife went. I told her to take the bunny to some thorn bushes at the end of our property and let it go there because that's the safest place to do it. We live in a country area ripe with predators. Well, I went back to work, but a little while later, my kids came running back into the house, loudly crying, with my wife trailing after and trying to calm them down and tell them it wasn't so bad. I asked what happened, and my eldest said that Mama made them let the bunny go in the middle of the yard and a hawk took it. They even described the poor bunny's screams. I was mortified and then angry at my wife for not letting it go the way I'd advised. She defended herself and said, "Was just a bunny, the kids will get over it." But I said that was wrong, and I warned her of predators, and now our kids had to see that poor bunny get carried away by a hawk. So our kids shut themselves in their rooms and stop talking to their mother for days. And when she tries to speak to them, they call her the bunny killer. I've tried to mediate, but my kids are still mad. And I'm still mad at my wife for how things went down. She's angry with me for not having her back and said, as husband and wife, we're always supposed to support one another. But we got into an argument where I pointed out numerous times that she has not had my back. She started crying too and went off to our room to pout. I think I screwed up now, so a friend told me to ask here, am I the idiot? Edit. I understand hawks need to eat too, and they are all over our area. I just didn't want my kids to see something so young. They're preschoolers. I grew up a country boy and my wife was a city girl, and when I was growing up in any similar situation with a wild critter caught, we tried to let it go in a place where it'd have a fighting chance. Not the idiot. You warned her specifically that there were predators that would try to take it when it was released. You predicted that this could happen, but your wife ignored it, and it happened. Now she should be equally horrified that it happened in front of your kids and apologize for it going down the way it did. She didn't summon the hawk, but it sounds like you live in an area where it didn't need to be summoned. Yeah, it starts out with just a bunny, and then the kids are being carried away by hawks. The only way your wife has a chance of earning her children's trust and respect is by owning up to her failure. She failed that baby bunny 100%. She needs to acknowledge this before her children and accept their rightful judgment. It's just a bunny. Get over it. That sounds like a perfectly okay thing to say when your kids are crying. Jesus. I get the whole united front thing, but this is not about your kids neglecting their chores or getting a bad grade. Though it's nature, seeing those things at a young age can be very traumatic. And chasing them around saying they will get over it, it's not okay. Sorry about your wife is the idiot in this, but she has to know she was wrong. Otherwise, why would she be mad? Before I found out I was pregnant, my marriage was really bad and we were essentially separated. Some of my husband's family were upset when we decided to work on things because they felt like I was ungrateful and that I had humiliated my husband and their family, so he should have left me. My brother-in-law's wife was probably the most vocal and nasty about it, but she never said a mean thing around my husband. I ended up recording her telling me that my husband only tolerated me now because I was pregnant and that he would throw me out as soon as the baby wasn't inside of me anymore. I told her if she didn't leave me alone, I would show my husband, which made her stop. That was over a year ago, and she recently asked me if I still had the recording and asked me to delete it when I told her I did. I refused to, even though she's been nice to me recently, and now she and her husband are angry at me because I won't delete it, and it would cause big problems if my husband saw it, especially now. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot for keeping it hidden from your husband like the world's crappiest surprise present. Either tell him about it or delete it. Don't sit there hoarding blackmail against his family and expect him to one day thank you for it. I'm curious why this is the approach when it would almost certainly create massive drama. Why not just lie and say she deleted it? If sister-in-law behaves, then no issue. If sister-in-law feels like nothing is holding her back and starts to be an idiot again, show him. Lying to keep the peace is a valuable resource. Right? Who keeps compromat on their family? Everyone's the idiot here. Your sister-in-law sucks for what she said, and you suck for essentially blackmailing her and keeping this info from your husband. OP, they're being nice to you because you still have it. Show it to your husband now before she has a chance to spin it. If it comes out later, you've been holding blackmail material, that will be a bad look on you. Not the idiot. Sounds like you found the magic formula to stop her nastiness. Naturally, she wants that to go away. I bet if you did delete the recording, her behavior would deteriorate. My late mother liked to leave poisonous voice messages. After one especially bonkers message, I told her that maybe I should play it for her doctor in case she'd had a stroke. She got real quiet and asked, "What do you mean, play it?" Yeah, she hadn't thought about leaving evidence of her abuse, which she always saved for when we were alone. So keep it. It ensures your sister-in-law's behavior, it seems, and appropriately so since she doesn't seem to have a nice comment for you otherwise. But what's your end goal here? Are you trying to or have succeeded in bettering your relationship with your husband and his family? Are you waiting for the next time she upsets you to reveal the video then? Why would you allow your in-laws to abuse you and never tell your husband verbally? Tell him, stop saving this just in case. You clearly aren't going to use it, and she'll realize that one day and go back to treating you horribly. Why play nice with people who don't like you? Why do this to yourself? If you want your marriage to work, you need honesty. For background, I'm a British mid-20s guy who spent my whole life living and working in Asia. I've moved around to many countries and worked with people of many cultures and ethnicities, so I think I'm fairly open-minded. I've been working in my current company for 3 years, and I've recently moved to another country to work in a new office. For the last 5 months, I've gotten along with my colleagues and have had no issues to date work-wise. Recently, we had another expat join us in our office from the US, who is an early 20s female, who I will call Eve. I'd been assigned to work with and train her. Everything went well for a few weeks and she'd been picking up everything quite quickly, so at the end of it she brought in a cake to say thanks for training her. I told her she was learning remarkably quickly and it was my pleasure to help her. Her face contorted as I said this, but otherwise carried on very friendly, so I dismissed her expression. The following week I got called into an HR meeting. The gist of it was that I had a complaint that I was inappropriate to a member of the female staff in my office. When I was told this, I felt my blood drain from me, as I take work very seriously and always keep cordial but professional levels of relationship with my colleagues. They then explained that Eve had told them I was flirting with her, and she demanded an apology from me. I'm aware HR does not usually tell you the person who made the complaint, but as Eve was demanding an apology from me, they told me. I asked them to explain what I'd done to cause this, and apparently I made suggestive comments to her, and when I pushed further, apparently I had emphasized the word pleasure, and Eve thought I was trying to flirt with her. Following this, HR wanted me to apologize to Eve and to take a course on interpersonal office relations and how to manage them correctly. Following the meeting, I've kept clear of Eve and don't interact with her outside of immediate job concerns. I refused HR's request, followed up with my manager with whom I've worked for 3 years and explained the situation. He's supporting me against HR, and I'm waiting to see what happens in the future. Again, I refuse to apologize, as this will be seen as an admission of guilt and could potentially ruin my career. But on the other hand, I know that language can be misogynistic and things you say can come across as wrong. I just don't think my pleasure is one of these. For example, in the UK, we call people love, or dear, which can be words I can understand people feeling uncomfortable with, which is why I don't use them. So, am I the idiot for standing my ground and refusing to apologize? You are not the idiot. My pleasure isn't a super common phrase in the US these days, and it is more like something your grandparents would have said, but it's certainly known and understood. There is nothing misogynistic about the phrase whatsoever. It just means you're happy to have done X. Her ignorance is not your problem. As an American woman and feminist, I'm embarrassed by her. Unless you licked your lips, winked at her a couple of times, and didn't break eye contact while you slowly said pleasure while eating a banana, there's no way that phrase is flirting. Eve needs to calm down and realize not everyone in the world wants to sleep with her. Sometimes people are just being polite. Sorry your co-worker is an idiot. You have nothing to apologize for. She needs to apologize, in my opinion, for causing all this mess. My 19 female, 18-year-old brother is apparently a very beautiful person. He gets complimented 24/7 by all kinds of people, and everyone adores him. He's modelled and all that jazz as well. You'd think our mom would be happy or proud, but she's jealous. Yep, I don't know why, considering he gets his looks from her, but she sees him as competition. I'm sure she loves him, but she sometimes acts like a bitter child. She comments about how she's skinnier and prettier and got more attention back in the day. It's backcrap insane. She copies his every move while also criticizing him all the time. My brother doesn't care and pretends she's joking around, but he's starting to fixate on how he looks, so it's definitely bothering him. My final last straw was when my mom dragged him and herself over to me and made me rate them both out of 10. I tried ignoring her and brushing her aside, but she wouldn't let me leave and kept asking me to rate. I had it and was like, Jesus Mom, you're a 0, and you've been a 0 the second you started acting so crazy. She went quiet and began to cry and said that I'm a horrible excuse of a daughter. She wants me to apologize and hasn't left her bedroom since. I feel guilty because my mom is a really hard-headed person and she never cries. My dad, who thinks all this is ridiculous and fights with her because of her behavior, even thinks I was way too harsh. I'm just exhausted. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Her behavior is ridiculous and possibly harmful to your brother. And you had a point. No matter how outwardly pretty she is, acting like this makes her a 0. I would text your dad. I really think Mom needs therapy. I've been watching her get jealous and competitive with her son about his looks. You need to step in here and do something before it's too late. Agree. Dad needs to step up. She's going to ruin your brother's self-esteem over completely unnecessary competition. The weight issue is very concerning. She's his mother but isn't acting like it. Calling you a horrible excuse for a daughter after this nonsense behavior is so narcissistic. She needs to get some therapy before she really damages your whole family. Well, I've heard it all now. A mother is jealous of her own son? What on earth? She needs a reality check. Although if she's truly a narcissist, as some have commented, then I guess a reality check isn't going to help. She needs to have her ego stroked, and when she doesn't get it, she martyrs herself. At least your brother knows you have his back though. Don't feel guilty and keep defending your brother.